Hello everyone, I'm Randy Arrington and welcome to our 11th episode of Page Valley Living. We're here today inside the Andrew Jackson School Museum, which sits inside the REC, the West Luray Recreation Center, which sits along West Main Street in Luray, which is known as the REC. But 65 years ago, this building was still known as the Andrew Jackson School. On January 12, 1926, the Andrew Jackson School replaced School Number 5 that sat adjacent to St. John's Church and opened its doors to black students in grades 1 through 7. The school board added one grade each year until they reached the 11th grade, where they stopped. Up to 1959, black students had to travel outside the Page Valley in order to complete their high school diploma. In honor of Black History Month, which starts tomorrow on February 1st, we'll be visiting with local resident Audrey Tutt Smith, a former student of the Andrew Jackson School, to talk about this one-room museum here at the REC that has been created to preserve the memory of the school and the students who attended it. We'll do that in just a moment, but first, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Luray Caverns. From well-lighted paved walkways, explore cathedral-sized rooms with ceilings 10 stories high, and walk among huge chambers filled with towering stone columns. Come visit Geology's Hall of Fame, only at Luray Caverns. Visit them online at luraycaverns.com to plan your trip today. We'll be right back with Audrey Tutt Smith to talk about the Andrew Jackson School Museum here at the REC. But now, first, let's take a look at headlines. And now, looking back at the week that was in the Page Valley. On Tuesday, January 23rd, following a closed session, the Luray Council officially named Brian Chrisman as the new town manager. Chrisman has spent the last 16 years as Luray's assistant town manager and now takes the top administrative job at an annual salary of $120,000. On Wednesday, January 24th, a press release was issued stating that the iconic Mimslam Inn was to be acquired later this month by a partnership team composed of John Rutherford Allen, a retired United States Marine Corps 4-star general and former commander of the NATO International Security Assistance Force and U.S. forces in Afghanistan. He's also partnered along with his long-term former advisor, Mark Cretion, who served in both Iraq and Afghanistan and is now the managing partner of Mount Defiance Cidery and Distillery in Middleburg, Virginia. The third partner is Cito Venegas, a CPA and MBA that is the CEO of a leading national talent management organization based in Arlington, Virginia. On Thursday, January 25th, the Page County Economic Development and Tourism Department hosted the Page Valley Tourism Summit at the Stanley Fire Hall. About 75 attendees were exposed to various resources and programs that were presented by representatives of the Virginia Tourism Corporation, the Luray Page County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, the Luray Downtown Initiative, and the Page County Economic Development Authority. On Monday, February 5th, at the Page County Board of Supervisors meeting, Dina Fox, the director of the Economic Development and Tourism Department, will give an update on plans to build and operate the Page Valley Cultural Center and Business Hub. And in the world of sports, the big stories of the week were the two big rivalry games played at Page County High School on Saturday, January 27th. The Page girls defeated Luray 61-47 in the nightcap behind 16 points from both Faith Mason and Taryn Eppert in order for the Panthers to remain in second place in the Bull Run District. On the boys' side, the evening's opener proved to be an overtime thriller featuring 5 ties and 7 lead changes. Page County sophomore Caden Combs posted a game-high 32 points, including 5 three-pointers, but the Panthers would fall to the visiting Bulldogs of Luray 67-65 in overtime behind 19 points from junior Blake Jenkins. And now coming up this weekend on Saturday, February the 3rd, it'll be Cooter's Garage Band performing live out at from 1 to 3 at Cooters in the Valley out on Route 211, just west of Luray. Admission is free. That's Cooters Garage Band. Then from 3 to 5, it's the winter music series Cozy Crushed Afternoons out at Wisteria Farm and Vineyard on Marksville Road near Stanley. That's 3 to 5 p.m. Then on Sunday, February 4th, it's live bluegrass music out at Cooters in the Valley from 2 to 4 p.m. No cost to enter. And that's the headlines from the past week in the Page Valley. Welcome back, everyone. And we are filming on Tuesday, January 30th, and our 11th episode of Page Valley Living will be airing on Wednesday, January the 31st. We're talking today with Audrey Tutt Smith. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
You're welcome.
And right off the bat, I'm going to start off by reading a little segment of the historical marker that's in front of this building that was dedicated on August 13th of 2022. It says, the Andrew Jackson School, named for a local black entrepreneur, was built here in 1924-25 to serve African American students. The black community raised half of the $5,467 cost of the 3-classroom building. And additional support came from the county and from Julius Rosenwald, who was president of Sears and Roebuck and Company at the time. He had partnered with Booker T. Washington in a school building campaign and later established the Rosenwald Fund, which helped build about 5,000 schools for African Americans in the South. So let's start off by squelching a bad misconception that's been out there for decades. This school was not named after the 7th President of the United States, right?
No, it was not. It was named after Andrew Jackson, who was an entrepreneur, as you said, and had a store across the street.
Right across Main Street.
Right across Main Street.
Store and property over there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about how this timeline is amazing. It takes you all through the beginnings of this school. And I mentioned earlier, I talked about school number 5. Tell me about that here.
Okay, this is school number 5. And back in 1884, we had 7 schools in Page County for black students. And they did not have names, but they had numbers. So in Luray, this was school number 5.
And this timeline takes us all the way down as we move on down. We've got some former students here, and this is the building, the current building here, right? Is that correct? Okay. And now these exhibits, when did the museum first open?
It opened in 2022.
2022. And I want you to tell me a little bit more, if you see, is there anything on this timeline that jumps out to you that brings back some memories?
Yes, but not so much as that, but it was a group of us that we were just talking one day and decided, you know, we had so much history here, what can we do with it? And this is where the thought and the plan started for the museum.
And what years did you attend?
I attended from the 1st grade to the 11th grade. I left in 1957.
2 years before the school closed, right? 1959 was the last year?
Yes.
Now, I want to read one other phrase I had here that comes off of the historical marker out front. Before closing in 1959, Andrew Jackson School offered education through the 11th grade, as you said, but black students had to leave the county for 12th grade. Page County schools were desegregated in 1966. So you were part of the group that had to go somewhere else to get your diploma. Where did you go?
I went to Manassas Regional High School in Manassas, Virginia, and it was a black boarding school. And so I was there for my senior year.
Before we started recording, we talked about some students, they had to catch a bus in Newmarket. They had to walk or get a ride or something, catch a bus to, I believe it was Harrisonburg or other places as well.
There was a family here that had family in Harrisonburg. So the father would take the children to Newmarket, and they would catch the bus to Harrisonburg, and then I think it was Greyhound or the Greyhound bus, and then they would 5 o'clock get on the bus, come back to Newmarket, and then their parents would come pick them up.
And you went to Maryland, you said?
No, I didn't go for high school.
You went to, where did you finish?
Manassas, Virginia.
Manassas.
Right, yeah.
How much of an inconvenience was that? I mean, what did you have to go through just to go to school every day in Manassas? You came home every evening.
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, you did not?
No, we
Okay.
did not. What happened, the school board, a group of parents went to the school board and said 11th grade is not far enough of our children because other children went to New Jersey and to Washington, D.C., to those places if they had relatives that they could stay with. We did not. Some of us did not. So that is when the school board said they would pay our tuition. That's it. No transportation for us to go to Manassas. And we would go on a Sunday or a Monday and come back on Friday. Our parents had to provide our transportation. Mine was different because my brother also, he went first. It was 3 of us that attended there. And my father had to, we didn't have a car, had to borrow someone's car and pay them to take us to school and then go back and pick us up. So it was an inconvenience, but it was worth it.
You went all the way from being a student here at this school where you were denied a senior year education and worked your way up in Page County Public Schools into the central office. I believe you were assistant superintendent, if I'm correct?
That's correct.
Wow. That's a long road, isn't it? How much?
I made it in spite of and not because of.
In spite of, not because of. The changes you have seen in the schools here over the decades, how do you reflect on that? How do you have we reached a certain point where we're there? Do we still have a ways to go?
We still have a ways to go, and
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, very
We
well.
still do, yes.
Well, let's take a look a little bit more around
Okay.
this beautiful museum. I'm going to let you walk me around a little bit here, and we're going to back out and look at this corner that I believe is an old classroom setting. Tell me about that.
Okay, when we were working on the timeline and setting up the museum, another member and I went to the school board and started researching, you know, when certain people went to school here, and we found this lesson in a teacher's register.
Oh, wow.
And it was her English lesson. And so this blackboard is where we portrayed this lesson. And what I need to say also, this timeline covers the chalkboard. That is an original chalkboard.
Oh, wow.
These floors are original.
Oh, wow.
The ceiling is original and the wall over there. You know, they renovated the building, but they gave us this part. So I think that is important.
That is truly amazing. And if we can sashay right by our cameraman here, I'm really interested about a little bit about this corner here because this has some old teachers. And I'm originally from Farmville, Virginia, where the R.R. Moten School was part of a 1951 walkout and protest, became part of the Brown versus Board of Education case. And you have 3 folks up here from Farmville, Virginia. We've got Clara Madden, Gertrude no, I'm sorry, that's Earlyville.
You'll see Oliver, there's his picture right on the end there.
Oliver here, but there's 3 or 4 from Farmville, so that brings back some thoughts there because I have visited. That's a very interesting museum as well. I would encourage everyone to visit that if they're in that area from the old R.R. Moten School. But these are the old teachers, right?
And the one thing that we usually point out, you see all the places in Virginia, we had one teacher, Mrs. Hazel Sires, that was from Luray. All the rest of the teachers were from other places in North Carolina or Virginia.
Yeah, D.C., like you said, North Carolina, West Virginia, and only one actually from this town. We're going to take one last walk right over here to this final corner because not only do we have some old pictures of students that have been donated, but is that what this represents here?
They are the sign right here. We put this up. It's Family and Friends honoring teachers and students who attended the historic Andrew Jackson School from 1926 to 1960.
And you have an alumni who was 100 years old, is that right?
There is a lady that just turned 100 years old. Her name is Margaret. No, it isn't. It's Lucy, and she lives in Erie, Pennsylvania. We have another lady that attended the school that's still alive, named Inez Beanie, and she is in Arizona. And then Judy Johnson is in her 90s. Walter Tutt and Columbus Tutt are in their 90s.
Wow, wow, that is amazing. We're going to pause just for a quick moment. We're going to visit with our sponsor once again, and then we're going to come back and talk about the first annual Black History Month Appreciation event that's going to happen right here on February the 24th. We'll get to that in a moment, but first we want to recognize our sponsor once again, Luray Caverns. The Smithsonian Institution once said, quote, "It is safe to say that there is probably no other cave in the world more completely and profusely decorated than that of Luray." Come see Mother Nature showing off only at Luray Caverns. Visit them online at luraycaverns.com to plan your trip today. We're going to walk right over here and continue our conversation with Audrey Tutt Smith. And there's a big day coming up here on the 24th. There have been many MLK events in the county before, but this is the first Black History Month appreciation event. I'm sure the museum's going to be open that day, right?
Most definitely.
And what hours?
Well, the program will be from 1 to 3. The museum will be open an hour before and an hour after.
Okay, so from 12 to 4 approximately. And folks, you should get out here and see this. This is a well done, top shelf museum. It's got some interesting history, local history that I bet a lot of folks have not laid eyes on that live right here in this community. We want to say the event is being hosted by the historic Andrew Jackson School Museum Committee, and the 2024 theme is African Americans and the Arts. Spanning the many impacts Black Americans have had on visual arts, music, cultural movements, and more. This is a culmination of the events that students, churches, and the Rec Center have been working on all month. There will be a play, there will be an announcement and an essay contest winners, and a whole lot more going on right here Saturday, February the 24th at 1 p.m. And of course, as you said, the museum opens at noon.
At noon, correct.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I am going to ask you one last question. Why is it important for the community to celebrate Black History Month, to retell these stories, and to preserve the past?
Because Black history cannot be put in 1 month. And I truly believe and feel that Black history needs to be taught as it happened in history. And I have 2 of the committee members here, and each one of them will give an answer to that question for you.
All right.
Come on up, please.
Give them your microphone. And she, by the way, folks, she's putting them on the spot. This wasn't planned. So come on up real quick. You just hold it in your hand. And introduce yourself. Tell folks who you are, and I'll repeat the question after you introduce yourself.
My name is Kathy Veeney.
And what is your association to the museum?
I am a committee member.
Very well. So why is it important for the community to celebrate Black History Month and to retell these stories and preserve the past?
It's important for me that the accomplishments, the trials, the tribulations, the hurdles that they had to go through in order to even get a education. Not only that, but we need to celebrate their accomplishments, because that gives us directive. That gives us a means to an end. So.
Very well said. And we've got one more here. You can just hand off the mic. Ms. Tutt's putting you on the spot here.
Yes. My name is Melvin Tutt, and my father went to school here. And yeah, I'm just thinking about this because, yes, put on the spot.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Why is it important for the community to celebrate Black History Month, to retell these stories and preserve the past?
I think it's important for people in the community to realize that our history is also their history. It's we don't have to be separate. It's our history and their history, that we're not rewriting history. We're not taking anything away from anyone else's history in the community, but we can all enjoy and learn from it together.
I like the comment that it's our history. I like that very much. Thank all of you so much for being here today and being guests on our show very much. We want to say thanks for all that Audrey Tutt Smith, all you have done in our community and all that you will continue to do in our community. And thanks to all of you for being here today. We want to say thanks again to our sponsor, Luray Caverns, and to Eleanor Arrington for all of her work behind the camera today. If you've enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit that like button, share it with a friend, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And finally, make sure you visit all of our furry friends down at the Page County Animal Shelter and help them find a forever home. Until next week, this is Randy Arrington saying, enjoy that Page Valley living.